As the West begins their lockdown, Asian countries are starting to return back to normal. Scenes from Wuhan, China show celebrating in the street and buildings being lit up. Though people are still told to wear masks in public, restrictions are being lifted and wet markets are reopening in China. Many people blame wet markets for starting this mess in the first place. Should we be worried? Find out right now on IO. What is gravy? I'm Charlotte Dobre. Thanks for watching another one of our videos. Happy Easter to all of you who are celebrating. If this is your first time here, subscribe for a different take on the news and follow us on social media so we can connect outside of YouTube. I don't know what it is about the words wet market. It makes me very sensitive. It's like Justin Trudeau saying moistly on national television. Ugh, moistly. Anything wet, anything moistly. Doesn't sit right with me. Wet markets like the Baishi Zoo market in Wuhan have started to reopen their doors. Many people want to put pressure on China to close wet markets indefinitely. Dr. Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, said that the coronavirus was a direct result of unsanitary markets, and it was mind-boggling that the markets remained open. So that's not the case with every wet market in China. Many of them are just places that you can buy fresh produce. Much like a farmer's market, if you've ever been to one of those. Wet markets are farmers markets. They cut out the middleman so the consumers buy directly from the farmers. But there are wet markets in Asia where animals are killed and sold right next to stalls that are selling fruits and vegetables. Sanitary conditions really depend on the size of the market and the location. Remote areas are usually less sanitary than a wet market in a large city, for example. Exotic animals are another big problem. You got these exotic animals next to common animals and dead animals and fresh produce. A lot of people coming in and out, touching things, no packaging. It's safe to say that wet markets could be breeding grounds, and often the source of pandemics like the one we are currently experiencing. So that leaves us with a question. Should wet markets be allowed to operate? Well, shutting them down is kind of like shutting down all grocery stores. Wet markets are a normal part of everyday life in China. Going to the wet market is like going to your local grocery store or a bodega. Banning them is impossible. People need to eat. According to Dr. Zhangzhu Si, research associate at the University of Waterloo, banning wet markets is not only going to be impossible, but it will also be destructive for urban food security in China, as they play such a pivotal role in ensuring urban residents access to affordable and healthy food. Most households shop at wet markets, and they get a huge amount of their food from them. In some places, close to 90% of their produce comes from wet markets. The thing is, we still don't know for sure how all of this started. There is evidence that it began with an exotic animal that is sometimes sold at a Chinese wet market, a pangolin or a bat. The virus was first discovered in December after several cases were linked to the Hunan seafood market, one of the largest aquatic wholesale markets in China. According to a newer study published by Chinese scientists that was published in The Lancet in February, some of the earliest cases had nothing to do with the Hunan market. Just so you know, that market has not reopened and it's been closed since January. We can't rule out that all of this started from domesticated wild stock. Animals packed together tightly. Pangolins are farmed in China these days. There's actually a loophole where if an exotic animal is bred at a farm, it is allowed to be sold at a wet market. Experts think that the real problem is likely China's wildlife trade, which has been in place since Mao Zedong. There are many Chinese communities that depend on wildlife. It supports millions of people. It might ease your anxiety to hear that market organizers are banning the slaughter and selling of live animals. Tell me what you guys think the solution is. Why don't you let me know in the comments? For now, I'm gonna wrap up this video with some quick comment features. Lexi said, swear I would go insane if it weren't for Charlotte and the rest of the IO crew. Thank you for helping save what little sanity I have left. Well, you're very welcome. You guys are helping my sanity as well. Betty said, when I was working, I always wanted to have time off so I could hang around the house and do things I put off. Well, here we are. Pallavi said, when you realize Charlotte is also at home but gets ready for us. Only for you, boo. Just you guys. No one else is seeing me. Then again, you know, a couple 100,000 people a day seeing me. So that's a reason to put makeup on. That is it for me. Thanks for watching. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it or if you learned something today, and subscribe for all your trending news updates.